Hello, Malcolm here, and welcome to the Sunday Sample, episode 13. I'm looking back on the services from last Sunday, the 26th of November 2017. I was in Watford in the morning and Lower early in the afternoon, and here are some of my reflections on those two times of corporate worship, both of which were very encouraging and inspiring, but also very different. So what are we talking about here? Well, first of all, what I want to talk about is the value of having a devotional with everybody involved in the service. For some of us, this might seem like a very obvious thing. For others, it can get skipped. And in my experience, I've been through times when I've helped to lead and been part of devotionals that have been useful for worship teams, both those speaking in the services and singing or playing their instruments. And I've also been in services and at times and seasons of my life when there just doesn't seem to be enough time for that. I think we have to make time. I know it's not a rule, but I think there's so much value in having at least a few moments to stop and reflect about why we're doing what we're doing. So I just want to share with you a devotional I shared with our worship teams in Watford and Lower earlier this last Sunday. We talked about the power of silence to prepare us to worship and to prepare us to lead others in worship. So, for example, Moses in the desert for many years, I dare say with those sheep, he had plenty of time of silence that I reckon helped to prepare him for his calling when it came later. David, of course we know, spent much of his childhood alone in the countryside with a few sheep, possibly even a few wild animals, but nonetheless there. And if you read the Psalms, you get the sense that that time prepared him to lead worship and then ultimately for the roles that God gave him in the future. And then, of course, there's Jesus. Jesus often withdrew to lonely places, solitary places, silent places, surely, and prayed, as in Luke 5, verse 16, and other passages. These times of silence help prepare these people for the service they were going to render to God and other people. And we need those times of silence too. Robin Daniels wrote in his book, The Virgin Eye, these words: "If we do not keep attuning ourselves to silence, we lose gravitas, we become lightweight." We lose gravitas, we become lightweight. And I think there's something in that. If we don't stop in silence, we can't gather ourselves fully to then present ourselves fully to the world and to those we are ultimately going to be leading in the context of worship leading. Psalm 62 verse 1 reads thus: "For God alone my soul waits in silence." My soul waits in silence. From him comes my salvation. That's the new RSV translation of Psalm 62 verse 1. Silence in that sense is praise. Taking a moment to be silent before God is praising him if he's the purpose for it. It gives us that chance to reflect on why we're doing what we're doing. And I think as worship teams, we really need that. And so at that point in our devotional, I announced that we would spend 1 minute in silence, just focusing on 3 words: for God alone, from Psalm 62 verse 1. For God alone. Just let's, for a moment, for a minute, think of those 3 words. Be silent, meditating on those 3 words, and then I prayed for us all. What do you do to prepare your worship teams for leading others in worship? I'd like to know. If you could comment, it'd be very helpful. I'm sure you've got some great ideas, and it will help us both, if you like, the material we share, but also the practicals of how we make that work will be really helpful to hear. So give some thoughts on that. That would be good. To go on to the rest of our services, in Watford we had a service with a title of How to Help a Grieving Friend, and we looked at John chapter 11 and Jesus with his interactions with Mary and Martha on the death of Lazarus. That's on our YouTube website, if you want, YouTube channel, if you want to have a look at that. I won't comment on that more now. And then back to the music for a moment, because last week you may remember that I shared about how it didn't work in Watford when we did a song sandwich of Soon and Very Soon, followed by Shine Jesus Shine, and then Soon and Very Soon again. The last couple of verses at the end didn't really work because of the speed issues. So I said I'd try it again in Lower early this Sunday, and it did work better, but we learned another lesson. So just to refresh us, this is what we did. We did Soon and Very Soon. Soon and very soon we are going, and so on, and then Shine Jesus Shine. Lord, the light of your love is shining, and so on. one into the other and then back to soon and very soon. So we'd started soon and very soon nice and slowly this time, which was good. Majestically. Soon and very soon we are going to see the... And it was hard because the congregation wanted to go faster, but the song leaders did a great job just steadying it, and we did it nice and slowly and majestically. We did, I think, 3, possibly 4 verses, I think 3, and then we went at the right speed into Shine, Jesus Shine. So shine, da 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 da, shine, and that worked. And then back to soon and very, sped up. What was it? See my Savior there, we are going to see, and we sped it up, and that was great. The lesson I learned though was that we had too many slow verses before Shine, so we should have done soon and very, perhaps one other verse, there slowly, and then into Shine at the correct speed, and then more verses faster. It began to drag a bit after the second verse of soon and very. So that was another lesson learned. If you're going to do a song slowly, more slowly than the congregation are used to, you might not want to do it for too long, or else it becomes something, I think, that confuses the congregation. One verse, okay, maybe 2, but why are we continuing to sing this song at a speed differently to that which we normally sing it? The confusion, I think, was distracting and didn't help. So that was a good lesson to learn, and we keep learning. It wasn't a failure, because nothing in the Christian life is ever fully a failure. They're just opportunities to learn and grow, and I think we did at that time. Finishing off, last week I said that I would do that devotional, which we did, and I said we'd have a second bash at the songs I just mentioned, and we did. That went well. This coming Sunday, I'm going to be sharing this with everybody in the world to create accountability for myself. That I'll do 2 things. Firstly, in Watford, I'm going to teach the song Lord, You Hear the Cry by Geraldine Latty. Tremendous song. We learned it in Thames Valley. We're going to learn it in Watford this Sunday. If you don't know the song, look it up on YouTube. It's a great song. Look at the lyrics. They're terrific. So we'll teach that in Watford on Sunday. And then in both locations, I'm going to do my best to create enough time for a meaningful devotional. We've got more into the habit of that recently, but I want to maintain it and create proper space for us to relax before God and with one another, to focus on Him before we lead others in worship. So that's my other commitment for this Sunday. What's God teaching you? Where you are in your congregation and your experiences of leading worship and worship teams, what's God teaching you? What do you feel like are lessons learned? Some helpful ones, well, they're all helpful, some that are lessons learned from something going well, and perhaps some lessons learned from things that didn't quite go as well as you'd like. That's okay. We're all still learning. Leave a comment wherever you hear or see this recording, because then we can learn from one another, and we learn best when we learn in community. Until the next time we see each other on recordings like this, I pray that when you gather with other friends to worship God, that you have a wonderful time of corporate worship. Take care, and God bless.